I'm considering Foxy. That's how open it is. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Foxy.
Dude, like Foxy shuts down most of the leaders.
Who thought this was a good idea to do that to LoL? You have to bottom deck your own 3K to frickin' play a restrictive archetype. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Colin and Trevor from the Sun Pirates CCG. We're here with our next installment of the It Connects podcast, which we haven't updated in like more than 2 months. I think the last one we had was like with DJ Miles, if I remember correctly.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's been a while. You know, before we get into it, these are really hard to film, guys. Just want to put that out there. It's really hard to get together and just like sit down and talk about stuff whenever like you've got conflicting schedules. That is something that I want to bring up now, is like that's why you won't see all four of us on at the same time a lot of times, is because it's just like our schedules just don't work.
Yeah. Turns out we're adults with responsibilities, right?
Yeah. So just be wary. I think me and Colin are going to be in quite a few episodes, like just content-wise in general. I think it's going to be me and Colin for a bit. I think Mohammed might slide in there, and maybe Arvin on a few guides. But I wanted to address that real quick in terms of the Sun Pirates that show up and don't show up.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, so I guess to get started with some news, it's been a while since we last talked about this, but for us, this hits pretty close to home now that MoistCritikal, aka Penguin Zero, is now playing the One Piece card game.
Yep.
Hits close to home for us, especially because, you know, we're all in the Tampa area, and if you've seen his recent videos on his skill check channel, he's been starting to go to locals, which is pretty crazy. Like, there's even like a post. Chris from Small Hat, he got a photo with him. Post on Twitter. So I feel like that has potential big implications for our game, right? In our community, it's like someone as big as Moist coming into our game. I think for better or worse, and I would argue for better, brings a lot of new players potentially into the game. It's very similar to, like, you know, for Yu-Gi-Oh! When Master Duel came out, and a lot of big streamers were, you know, playing, like streamers, VTubers, etc. And we saw like a lot of new Yu-Gi-Oh! Players coming in through Master Duel and coming to like the physical card game as well. I would hope something similar like that happens for One Piece.
I wouldn't doubt it. I remember, I don't know if it was, I think it was in relation to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I believe, don't quote me, but I believe Nikki Goldman got to play with like Saikuno and all of them whenever that craze was going on.
Oh, that's cool.
They came out to a card shop that Nikki and them live in Cali, and I believe that's an interaction that I remember seeing something like that, either on YouTube, Twitter, or something. And then for Moist is huge. His love for TCGs is really apparent. You know, he collected a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. He's got a really huge Magic addiction right now. And then he getting into One Piece with it growing, and him also having a player, or maybe even players, I don't know if how many like Moist esports players of any games that he sponsors play One Piece, or if they do. I know Goblin does. I know he plays, so like, and that's who he brought up in one of his videos that he was talking about the TCG. It hopefully shines a good light on the game. That's what I want from this. I want to make sure there's a good light. I hope it doesn't bring in a lot of negativity or any negativity at all. I don't think it should, but you know, whenever someone's trying to light on like what you think is a niche, what your niche is, right? Like you enjoy the card game, and then all of a sudden it's got a bright light shined on it. It's a little scary to look at, or just anything that you do. I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't know if you've had any hobbies that have had that type of thing happen where that craze has come up.
I've seen that before. Honestly, I've seen that in like the other card games, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. Like from pre-COVID going into like the pandemic era, when, you know, collectors, the online games, everything was just exploding, and you know, there was a bit of discourse, like I would say a very small subset of the community that was being kind of, for lack of a better term, gatekeepy. Just people that wanted their niche to stay niche. It's same things in many other communities too, like the anime community years ago, now with how mainstream it is compared to before. I would just say, you know, for those of you out there, it should be treated as a positive thing. I think first and foremost, having new people added to your game is good for your game. That's what helps us have, like, you know, more events, more products, like stores carrying more products, etc., etc. Like, it only means good things for your game. Obviously, you know, having more people means like more different perspective, more different walks of life, etc., etc. Like, maybe some people you don't get along with, but that's life, right?
Yeah. No, it's a cool thing to see. I'm a huge fan of Moist. He came to one of our locals actually recently to buy some One Piece product. That was actually whenever he started to get into the game. That was really cool. I got to meet him there and take a picture with him and talk to him a little bit about the game. I know he's on a Nell right now, and I'm assuming it's going to be a discussion in this video. Is like we're going to talk about the ban list. He might be a little bit happy now that he knows that RP Law isn't a thing anymore, so he gets to kind of play a Nell with like no barrier to entry, right? Like that's a huge deal, especially because he's a new player. His deck that he chose has now just gotten better, and that's a huge deal because hopefully that keeps him in the game. Because I know as an NL, when I was trying NL, like there were two reasons I didn't want to play that deck. It was RP Law and it was Lucci. And now that those two are kind of like, Lucci has some staying power. It's a future topic, but anyways, happy to see him in the game. Can't wait to see what he does. Hopefully he does. I know he's shooting for Nats. I don't know. I'm assuming the January Nats, depending on, because like getting into tournaments now is kind of impossible. I don't think there's anything before Root Nats at this point, right? For the first Nats.
I remember with his original announcement on Skill Check that they had some kind of plans to go to regionals in August. I don't know which one, so like, you know, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's also contention if any of them like actually top a tournament. So,
well, not just that. Like, funny little thing about Moist, if you guys don't know, and I don't know if you know this, Colin, he does not like to fly. He hates flying.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that's what I was not confusing, but I was trying to figure out. Like, there's no way he's going to Pasadena, right? I didn't think he would want to make that trip just for car. I mean, mind you, if he's down bad, he's down bad. I get it. I want to get, you know, if I could play in every regional and all I'd have to do is drive, I would do it. But I would be curious to know what he's doing for his plans in terms of transportation. If he's just sucking it up and flying, especially if he tried, because he could just show up to Dallas because of the LCQ. That's the cool thing about Dallas and these Nats, and
that is
not confirmed for the second Nats, but he could just show up for LCQs and do well because LCQ 500-man pod, not the worst odds. Realistically, it's not the worst odds. You know, you could come in there and do well, especially with a Nell, and Nell's a good choice for that.
Dude, I just imagine someone with his level of fame just being at a tournament. Can you just imagine, like, the crowd of people that would probably follow him everywhere? Like, that's what I would imagine.
That's like one of the scarier points that you're bringing up there is, like, at these... I don't want to be on this topic for too long, because I don't want to glaze the guy too much, but the idea that, like, if he's at a regional, how bad is it to try to move around that area? Like, is it just... Because, like, it's already hard enough to move around in regionals comfortably and not feel like you're already, like, encroaching on somebody else's space. Imagine there's Moist playing against somebody. And, like, we've got some really big people in the community for, like, the One Piece TCG community. And, like, you got names like Cross and all them, big content creators. If those two play each other, I could not imagine the crowd that sits there and watches. All silent, too, probably, because I mean, most of the One Piece TCG community is pretty good about that. Well, just being, like, quiet when good players are playing.
Yeah, I mean, already when someone like Cross or Jonas or Clyde, you know, if they're playing at table 1 in a regional, usually what happens, because it's like at the end table at the corner, right? Everyone just like kind of circles around them right there. Like, can you imagine if like Moist or any one of his other friends on his team versus someone like Cross? Can you imagine like the crowd that would surround around that table? It would be a fire hazard.
Oh yeah, the judges are on overtime on that one, trying to get that, because they already have a hard enough time clearing hallways for like many people at Gen Con. They were like that, like the venue for Gen Con like it was tight on the walkways, so like the judges were making sure that if you were in the hall, like you could not stand in a walkway. You had to move. You had to either sit down or go to like a back area where there were not a crowd of people. I can't imagine what that's going to be like if Moist is there. Especially, I heard a rumor, I don't want to confirm it or not, but I believe some of the OTV people went over to the Pasadena regional, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's confirmed. I don't. But I did get a rumor at Gen Con that was happening from somebody that I do know. But I'll tell you who that is off screen, Colin. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I heard that, so that was really cool. So people like that coming into the game, it's exciting, scary, but exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so you touched on it for a second there, but I guess going on to Gen Con. So we just got back from Indy like less than a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
How was that? I know this is your second Gen Con, so how did the events compare from like the 2 tournaments this year as opposed to like last year when you got your serial?
So these events were run a lot smoother. It felt like the events in the first Gen Con were definitely, they weren't prepared for the amount of players. Again, One Piece was really new still, like not new, but it was somewhat new. Like especially whenever you're doing, I think that was the first venue that like that tournament size at a con, and I think that's the only one that gets held at a con of that size. By the way, the tournament, not the con of that size. I don't know what other cons host tournaments, but.
Yeah.
This one ran a lot smoother. Mind you, though, this one ran a lot smoother because in last year's Treasure Cup and Regional, all the pricing for both were really good. You know, you had for Treasure Cup, you had the Marco, which was meh, but it was still a cool card because it was playable. You had the Queen and the Zoro, and then you had the serial card. And then in the Regional at that time, it was like the Admirals and a serial card. So you were getting a lot of value for doing both. But if, Colin, I think you felt it too there, like the Treasure Cup, no one showed up for it.
It was, dude, the pricing was dog shit.
Yeah, it is. I won't disagree with that. I mean, like I think it was, you know, the sad part is it's so dog shit I didn't even care to know. Yeah. I know you got a Zoro.
Yeah, so I top 64 got the green starter deck Zoro. Okay, yeah. And when I say green Zoro, it's the one, like the shitty 4/6 from the starter deck that no one remembers. It's not even like the 9-drop.
Yeah. It's not even the 9-drop. It's not even the film Zoro. Like somewhat playable in Uta Zoro.
Oh, the vanilla? I would much rather have the vanilla.
Exactly right. Like they chose the worst Zoro they could have chose. But yeah, that was something that was noticeable this time around. It was I think it capped at 370. If I'm,
it was not players. It was like. Yeah. It was like just about 400, I want to say. Yeah. Maybe sub 400. Yeah.
But then the regional kicked in and it was capped. The regional was capped. The venue changed from the regional to last year. Treasure Cup this year and last year's regional and Treasure Cup were played at the end of the football stadium on the turf. But this year they put the regional inside of like this like lunchroom cafeteria area. I think it's for the team, by the way. Like I believe that's where the team eats, from what I understand of how sports work. I'm not a sports person. But yeah, it was nice in there. It was pretty sizable, especially because it had an upstairs and a downstairs. I didn't feel super suffocated for the most part. It felt pretty good. Some of the chairs were ass. That was something that I noticed, is like some of the chairs were just, if you sat at like where I was for like the first 5 rounds, I think most of my tournament I sat up front, don't get me wrong, on the regional side of things. Some of the chairs you could get a good one or like one that just like barely fit you. I'm a big guy, so that's kind of why it felt like that. But chairs were not that good. In terms of being comfortable. This time around though, I want to touch on this a little bit. This TC and Treasure Cup, the player base was really good. It was a lot harder to do well this year. For me specifically. I'm a one-trick, so I transitioned off of a deck finally, and I chose RP Law for this format. Omega Lol, by the way, trying to choose RP Law to get ready for Nats.
That did not age well.
That did not age well at all. And I'll give you guys a little anecdote on this weekend. Before Gen Con, I was on NL. Everyone knows that. We were talking about it in a video. I sat down for like a day's worth of testing with Arvin. I could not beat his Lucci consistently enough to make it feel comfortable. It was like reliant on seeing 7 cross the Nell, but I didn't want to run more than 3, and and I felt like at 3 I still wasn't seeing it enough. What ended up happening was like, okay, Sunday before the event, I chose on Sunday to switch to RP Law. I did as much testing as I could Monday and Tuesday. We flew out Wednesday, did not get much testing done on Wednesday. I played Whitebeard on Thursday, and me, Colin, and Mohammed and Arvin sat there every waking moment when we could. After we like visited the con, we'd get home. It was just slamming law games nonstop, trying to make me understand. I could not figure out the matchup. I was having a hard time. Mirror, by the way, this is what I'm talking about here, is the mirror. I couldn't figure it out for the longest time until Raph just came over and said, Colin said it at the beginning, but I didn't understand it. And I know that sounds shitty, but I just didn't understand it at first, because you said it was like, see red swing, see purple play. Like, it was kind of he toned it down to make me understand it. And Raph came over and was just like, Trevor, do this. And I'm like, fuck it, fine. And I did it. I won the game, and I was like, okay, I think I understand it now. Went into the Sunday event, and I did pretty well. I went 5-0 at the very beginning, and then I bricked at round 6 and 7, and then I lost to an NL player off of triggers. I was like, okay, dude, I can't. I couldn't make the run happen. I was happy though. I went 6-3. Overall, I'm really happy on my performance for the regional. TC doesn't matter. I X2 dropped, went and enjoyed the con. Con was crazy though. Con was good. I'm glad I got to experience it.
TC was a throwaway tournament, like you said.
Yeah, it really was. But that was my experience. I got to play Ryan Hartman, by the way. Really good player. I was excited to play against him. I got to play against Kyle Hill there, who actually ended up winning 17-0, by the way. He went 17-0 in that tournament. He did not drop a single game in Swiss and in Top Cut. And I got to play Nugs out there. Shout out to Nugs. He was on Soap Sheep. That pissed me the hell off because I think I win that game if he doesn't go Spandam C Soap Sheep. I think I win that game, but we'll talk.
Yeah, I beat him at the TC.
Yeah, thank you for that. But he also top 8'd that event as well. So I got to play some really good players out there. But I'll let you discuss, Colin, kind of how your weekend went. It was for me.
Yeah, speaking of Nugs, dude, like, obviously, like, a lot of stuff changes with the ban list. We'll get to that topic in a minute. But
yeah,
Nugs on Soap Sheep, like, I was very fortunate to win my game against him at the TC because, like, you know, Lucci doing Lucci things, he just barely didn't have enough counter when I had the last rusher. Like, yeah, after the game, Nugs and I were just talking, because in our actual match, he goes turn 1 Spandam and reveals Soap Sheep. And I'm like, oh no. Because he's on Odd Curve, and I'm like, bro, he could literally go, like, 5 Don, Soap Sheep, Lucci, blast my board.
Yeah, so, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was really selling me on it after the game, too. He was, like, showing me his list, and, yeah, really, really cool guy.
Good player. Very good player. I know I think he hangs with the Cross crew quite a bit. I've seen him back. I was seeing him back in, like, set 2 and 3, so I knew he was a good player when I got to face him. Glad I did, though.
Yeah. No, like, a lot of my experience was, like, very similar to yours. So, like, I was like, pretty heavily on Black Yellow Luffy for most of the format. And then Muhammad hurt my feelings. He, like, 9-0'd me when we were testing. Because he was the first one to go on Law out of our group.
Yeah. Yep.
And, yeah, this Impact Law list, I was just like, as Luffy, I was just like, I can't beat this. Like, he just keeps going blocker Law, ripping, like, a Moria and, like, a 2k counter at, like, specifically my Flampe out of my hand. And I'm like, how do I win? So, like Trevor, I also transitioned to Law. And yeah, like we said before, the TC went pretty decently. You know, my deck profile's already on the channel and whatnot for getting top 32. My only losses were a Black Yellow Luffy and, funny enough, Jonas. We were playing the mirror match. Always a pleasure playing against Jonas. Really, really fun. And then for the regional, my story ends a lot quicker. I start like 1 and 2 by round 3, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm just gonna go to the convention. So
makes sense.
It is what it is.
It's like one of the only events that you're like, damn, I went X2. Oh wait, that's right. I get to go enjoy the thing that I paid like $200 for and overall to like get in, right? Again, happy with my performance, having like 3 to 4 days on the deck. What I will say is about Law, and I don't know about you, Colin, I just hate Law. At the end of the day, I hated Law because I just couldn't find a list that I was like, this is the list, right? Like there was never a time when I was playing that deck and over the last weekend, I never had felt like, damn, this is the list. I can be happy with this list going forward.
Yeah, it always feels like there's something missing. It's like, for as strong of a leader as Law is, it's like there, at least for OP7, there always felt like something that there was just one aspect you had to make a concession on, like whether it be like the rushers, the ramp, or the draw power. It's just something you needed to kind of shave down just a little bit to fit everything in, just because your cards were so good.
Yeah, because I know me and you were differing. Like, I wanted to play Ainz, and you just wanted to play the pure impact list, which I can't fault you for, because after I was playing, like, me and Arvin, we're going to transition into a new topic here after this, but me and Arvin slammed 100 games of RP Law versus Lucci over this last weekend. That's a lot of games, by the way, boys and girls. If you don't know that, that's a lot of games, especially for someone who... I hadn't been playing that much, realistically. I've been testing somewhat, but, like, that was a lot of testing. I couldn't get the matchup down. I think I went 70-30 overall, and I got, like, 10 to 15 of my wins at the last, like, 20 to 30 games because I switched back to the impact list. I just said, heck it, let me just try 3 to 4 Rush Zoro, and then I started taking games in, and I'm like, okay, but then... this doesn't feel that good into the slower matchup. It was like that playstyle difference that was coming up as a Law player that was like... I think there was comparisons to Law versus Sakazuki. I'm like, dude, I never felt like... because Sakazuki had one playstyle and had so many toolkits, or like tools in its belt, it never felt like you felt like you had a list, right? I know you and Arvin played that deck so much that like you had a list that you were happy with. I don't think I could ever hit that going on Law. We could play as long as we did on Law as you guys did on Sokka, and I don't think I'd ever feel like that, which was sad because I thought that's why that deck was really good.
Well, I guess going on to the next topic then, like, turns out all your efforts were for nothing, right? So
Dude.
that ban list.
So I'm gonna date this episode. It's the 13th. The ban list dropped pretty much this morning at like what?
Or yesterday morning
At like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then the announcement came in that NA is also going to have the ban this morning. So like 2 in the morning. Because I remember specifically because I was going to bed. I had just got done filming with you and Chris. I laid down. I saw the tweet in like a Discord, and I called Arvin immediately, and I said, Arvin, all of that testing was for naught. We wasted an entire weekend.
I know, dude. I was so pissed because we were filming with Chris our most recent like ban list review video.
Yeah.
Like 11 p.m. No, it was later than that. Chris was giga late. Like basically midnight last night.
Yeah.
And I was even like bringing it up as a discussion point. I'm like, so when you guys think that the ban list is going to be in effect for us in English? Because it's like, there's no shot it's going to be effective before nationals. There's just no way, right? It's too soon. And lo and behold, it's effective on the 6th. Like literally the announcement came right after I pressed stop recording.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro. I was like, there's no shot that they change OP7 because like no one complained about OP7, like no one. I feel like.
No, you're right. I don't know what caused them to do this. The only thing I can think of is that like maybe those players complained about it so much that Bandai is just like, because I don't know who makes the choices for NA Bandai. I do not. I don't know if there's like I don't know if like headquarters Bandai just automatically makes all of the choices over them when it comes to certain things. Because I think there is a difference, right? There's like a.
I'm sure there's like an NA department or something.
Yeah.
Or England, like a worldwide department versus like headquarters in Japan.
I don't know what the disconnect was. I am not happy about it for sure. Even like, I'm not happy about it because it's not that I'm not happy about it because I don't get to play Law. I want everyone to understand that. I didn't care to play Law. It's just like. It didn't feel like good. There was no other deck that felt that good. Like BY Luffy was the next thing, and I was very close to. I think same as you was like I was close to just being BY Luffy pilled for the rest of the set. I'm upset because it's just like now we have to shift gears. Not only do we have to shift gears and find a new deck that we want to play, we have to test into like 20 plus decks because RP Law gate kept everything.
Yeah.
Like 20 decks is an exaggeration. I understand that, but it does feel like way more testing has to be done than I wanted to. Like I wanted to golf more in the next month. Like I wanted to do things that weren't testing a lot more. I wanted to do outside things. I wanted to enjoy my life. No, got to test a lot more now. I don't know how you feel about that, Colin, but I want to get your take on it because I'm not happy about that specific reason.
I feel like I see where they're coming from. Like they just want to, we've had a bunch of events in OP7 just now. Now they want to like kind of shake things up for nationals. Do I agree with it? No. Like, because it just a lot of it doesn't make sense to me in the sense that like no one complained about Law in 07.
Yeah. For
a lot of people, I'm pretty sure like they would even argue that Law is not the best deck in 07. Like, I think most people agree. It's hard to say what the best deck was in 07, and a lot of people in the West would actively say that Law is very much not the best deck, which I have some thoughts about that, but they're no longer relevant, right? But like the fact of the matter is that like a lot of people don't like Law in the West, and it showed right in numbers.
Yeah.
Our like percentage wise, we have way less representation for RP Law than the Asian territories in Japan did during their 07 format. Like a lot of people in Asia were on Reparable Law in 07, but here it's just like you hardly see it, which is strange to me. But Which begs the question, why implement the bans in 07? I don't know.
The only thing I can think of, the best way I can put this is, I don't think they cared about NA stats. They just said, okay, it's a problem in Japan, let's just get rid of it everywhere, right? Let's just like kill the problem before it becomes a problem. I don't know how card games works from a business standpoint. No, I don't. Colin, I assume you agree. I don't know if it's like specific times that you can actually just drop a ban list. I don't know if you can just drop one anytime. I don't know if it like has to go through a certain process to drop a ban list.
I would say it varies from company to company anyway, so there's no standard.
And so maybe this is just something where they're just like, they have too much going on during like, because they may have too much going on from the business side of things to worry about producing a ban list and thinking about it, overthinking about it going into like set 8 and afterwards, right? They just announced set 9. It's fully spoiled at this point, and looking at that set, maybe that's what they're doing, is they're just like, fuck trying to think about a ban list. Let's just get one out so that we can focus on Union Arena, set 8 for NA and all them, set 9 for Japan, and the reprint set as well. They've got so much going on at Bandai that they just said, probably let's just get it. This is probably a shit take. Don't get me wrong, guys. I understand that. But that's the only thing I can think of, is just, they're like, let's just get this out of the way real quick so we can focus on all these other things that they've got a major priority to focus on.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason. Like, Bandai being as large of a company as they are, throughout the chain of command, somebody said, this is too much to think about. I'm just going to delegate this to the next guy. And at some point, they just played a crazy game of telephone. And now whoever makes the announcement is like, yeah, September 6th sounds right.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 16th, but they heard the
yeah, maybe. Dude, like, legit, that's what I thought at first. I was like, September 6th, I'm like, do they mean the 16th? Because I know Nationals was the 14th and 15th.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, it's the 16th.
Like, I wanted to make sure like they gave it 12 hours before, because in case they needed to put out like a rebuttal or something.
I wish they would have, because apparently I think like Cross posted that they reposted it to remake sure everyone understands, like, this is active on the 6th, get fucked. Like, that's kind of... Going off that though, our bans were pretty like accurate, right? I think going into the list with Chris that we predicted is like, I was advocating, like, as soon as we started talking about Innis Lobby, I wanted Innis Lobby banned, because after playing so many games in Delucci, that's its factor. That's the X factor. Like, that's the card that, like, whenever I'm thinking about playing in Delucci, is like why it's so effective. Consistent -3 on the board is just insane. It's too much to deal with, especially whenever two of the best decks are like 5 cost and below, right? In terms of the power range that they stood at, being BY Luffy and RP Law. And then RP Law ban, expected. I mean, again, I'm happy it's banned. The errata's ass. I think everyone understands that. There's no reason to discuss the errata, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to vent for a bit here, like, because I don't think we really touched on it that much in our previous ban list discussion video, but I'm like, who thought this was a good idea to do that to Law? Like, okay, only play Hard Pirates, sure. Mm-hmm. Bottom deck a 3K, sure. But you have to bottom deck your own 3K to frickin' play a restrictive archetype. There's like barely any good Hard Pirates cards already.
Yep.
like who thought this was a good idea? This is worse than Sakazuki. Like, you could maybe make an argument that, okay, down the line, perhaps Sakazuki, the bad promo Sakazuki gets better as we get more better Navy cards, and maybe you can make the same argument for Red Purple Law, but you just have to do like this natural like card disadvantage and tempo disadvantage to play your free body. Like, is that really free at this point? Like,
so the only thing that I can think of is, and it's a card that is in, because me and you had played a small stint in Fusion World. Do you remember the blue trunks that would, like, you would send it to the bottom of the deck, and then there was like an event that got to play the trunks where there's characters.
Oh, the 2-drop, the one that just swings for 30k.
Yeah. So okay. I wonder if maybe they're doing something like that with this deck. Is like they're trying to maybe like. And I don't want them to, by the way. I think that's still that's bad card design in One Piece, because we just don't draw as much as Fusion World does to be able to do that type of system consistently.
Yeah.
But also, we're limited to Dawn, not like energy. That's kind of like energy is like restandable in some decks, I believe. Energy is like super easy to gain because it's just out of your hand. Like you can gain more than 10 energy, you can't gain more than 10 Dawn. I wonder if that's something that they're thinking about doing. I kind of hope it is, because then it'd be kind of cute. It'd have its niche, you know? But other than that, right now, it's just dog crap, because...
Surely they're cooking something in R&D, right? Like, surely they're making some kind of Heart Pirate support to make this, like, at least somewhat justifiable.
I hope so, because, like, I thought it was going to be good because, like, oh, they have a one-drop searcher. But then I'm like, oh, wait, that's right. Machino can't even boost that one-drop searcher because it's a purple searcher. So it's not like you can even boost your one-drop, swing it, then bottom deck it. It is literally, you have to give that character Dawn to even do that. But, yeah, man, they really dropped the ball on this one.
I guess you can put Dawn on your guy, but then that's still low-key defeats their purpose. And then, like, just going through those hoops and, like, the card disadvantage that you have to go through, it's like, what kind of Hard Pirates do you have to print to make this, like, even remotely decent? It's like Hard Pirates literally need their own Reiju, because you can't play Reiju anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they would literally need something that says draw 2 cards and then gain back a Dawn or something to that extent.
Yeah, there's just nothing, right? Like, I was looking at the Hard Pirates. Is it a 3K? You have to bottom about 3K?
You have to bottom deck a 3K. Now, the thing you bottom deck doesn't have to be a Hard Pirate, but, like, I mean, obviously you have to play some amount of Hard Pirates to even leverage the effect, right? So
yeah. Sure. That's why I looked there first. There's nothing. There's, like, nothing you want to, like, play and then remove off the board. But there's, like, no card like that, by the way. Like, there's no shitty Otama that's, like, a 3-drop, right? Like... There's not even that in the game, I think.
Yeah, like, what am I gonna do? Like, play a Zoro swing with it, and then bottom deck my own Zoro? Like,
that feels... That's the only thing that I was thinking. Was like, I guess I could play a Zoro and do it, but, like, then I just played a Zoro and I lost the value of it being a blocker too. Like, it loses so much card advantage at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know. But I digress.
You know, the only card that I can think of that might be good, not even... Okay, let me put a little quotation on here. It's like Porsche or something like that. Like, Porsche cheating in the body that you bottom deck is the only thing I can think of. Again, don't think it's good.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the idea that, like, there might be something. You know, hopefully somebody cooks, but, like, I don't think you're cooking too much.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, with that, you know, it's funny too, like, with the timing of this ban list. Originally, this podcast, Trevor, when I originally reached out to you about this podcast like a week ago, like, trying to organize this, it was originally going to be like a post-Gen Con thoughts piece, like an opinion piece on, like, us trying to figure out, okay, what do we consider to be the best deck in 07? And, well, now it's just, like, out the window, obviously.
It's an issue that, because, like, when I'm at work, sometimes I can get some games in, so I just, like, hey, Arvin, do you want to get some games in? And one thing that I did note, like, Lucci is still a menace. Stages Lucci is still pretty good. I played Dofi into it. Dofi has a hard time into it. I'm trying some cute stuff with it to see if it'll, like, keep up in tempo, but, like, even then, it's, like, it's super hard. I want to give Bonnie a try, because I was going to talk to you about, like, what you wanted to try, right? My top decks to try were, like, Dofi, Zoro, Bonnie. Those are the 3 that I want to try heavily. I know that we still have to deal with the Rob Lucci character in the meta, but I think Zoro is a better cope now than it was a day ago at this point, pretty much. And those are the 3 that I want to test. Bonnie is what I'm on right now. What about you? What are you feeling?
Just right off the bat, I want to mess around a bit more with Black Yellow Luffy, just to see if there's just another axis that we can try, especially now that we don't have to, like, respect RP Law anymore, because obviously he's gone. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about Reiju, really hyping that up. Honestly, I'm very hyped up to play that deck too. I think it's a really sweet deck. I played against it a bit, and I played with it a bit, and I was like, every time I was always like, man, this is a really sweet deck, but how do I beat Law? And honestly, when I'm playing Acid deck, I'm like, man, this just feels like a little bit worse than Red Purple Law. But now that Red Purple Law's gone, it's the best Red Purple Law now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
real quick before we change off that deck, I saw somebody post or made a comment, like, maybe now we don't even have to run the Porsche engine. Not to say that it's not good, but now maybe because RP Law is out of the meta, we can run more of a, like, consistency engine to keep the deck even better against, like...
Oh, like the old deck of 06?
Yeah, something like that. That was something... Because you could still play the Porsches, don't get me wrong, but, like, you just play Porsche, right? like maybe that's something that you like play the Porsche just to play Porsche because it cheats in everything of your deck, pretty much. Like you get to cheat in every small kid. But that's something that I'd like to see you try as well, or maybe even I try, like not running the full like Foxy Pirate engine.
Yeah, well, we'll mess around with it. I still think Chopper is worth running, like the little Foxy Chopper. He does the same thing for you as like kind of like what Shachi Penguin does in Red Purple, all right. It's just recouping the Dawn is like super important, especially against matchups like Black Yellow Luffy where you need the Dawn to actually hit them.
Plus, a small blocker is always nice.
Yeah, like small asshole blocker, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well,
no,
definitely
I agree with that. What's the last one you're kind of feeling, other than those two?
For what I'm personally trying to test, those two decks is like my main targets. As what else I could consider is like, I think Bonnie too.
Okay, you're on the same.
Yeah,
I think stick with Bonnie.
Yeah, I think Lucci without stage makes Bonnie more reasonable. It really depends on how Lucci adapts to it. I think the first step is to really hammer down, like, okay, is Lucci still good or not?
Yeah.
I think it still is, for sure, but it's just
Absolutely.
how good is Lucci.
You know what's funny? It's good enough to make me not want to play Dofi right now. I played a few games of this Dofi and I was like, dude, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to like luck sack into 2 Luccis and have to like high roll my way through the games. I think we'll discuss that more as we get closer. I know we'll have another podcast before Nats, probably discussing like what we've thought of for the meta.
Yeah. One more deck I wanted to kind of cover though, because honestly, this was like my original intention for the podcast as far as like what I was going to title it was, is Nami the best deck now? Because even with Law in the format, she won a Treasure Cup at Gen Con. Not only did she win the Treasure Cup at Gen Con, there was like 3 Namis in the top 8 of that Treasure Cup. Did she top that regional in Gen Con also?
No. Nami did not show herself as prevalent in the regional.
Okay. But then there were 2 Namis in the top 8 of the Pasadena regional that just happened this past weekend. And Nami won that regional, got first place. And like almost like very convincingly too, because she just went into a bracket full of like Black Yellow Luffy's, and I'm like, oh gosh.
So that was actually something that I wanted to bring up for the podcast, for this episode, was like the last 3 in-person events. I understand that we had online events going on at the same time as Gen Con, but I have literally no idea what went on in those events. I have to still look at the stats for those. But all 3 of those events had a difference of decks showing up in terms of the quantities. I believe in Pasadena, Enel and BY Luffy were the most played. In Gen Con, for the regional, from what I could tell, it was like Lucci, RP Law felt really prevalent. And then for the TC, I think the TC, I won't count the TC, because like there were some wild going on there. There were multiple Foxy players at that event. That's all I know. And
one of them was our buddy Tommy. So
yeah,
I don't know if you really want to count them.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to count the TC too much there, but I do know for at least both the regionals that we played that have happened in person recently, it's like the spectrum's wide, and it was already wide with Law in the meta. I cannot imagine how wide it is now without that gatekeeper sitting at the, that and stage being like, it's not even the Lucci deck, it's just like having stage was such a huge benefit for that deck that it feels like with those 2 gone, it's just like it's open season.
Yeah.
Open season. I'm considering Foxy. That's how open it is. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Foxy.
Dude, like Foxy shuts down most of the leaders.
I will say, I as Black Yellow Luffy, I have like a near 0% win rate into Foxy.
Some jokes are here. Don't get me wrong, but like Foxy so many decks are prevalent now, and it's just like, ooh, that's so terrifying. Yeah. Just like to meet a random, because like we can test as much as we want, we will forget about something and we'll run into it in Nats. That's Mike's fear. Is Nats is just like, I think Karar was saying like Mesquite. Yeah, the Texas regional that you guys went to, he played Odin Nat. It was like, it was open season. Like people were just playing anything out there.
You saw a lot of weird Odin.
Shit. Yeah, like that is our Nats, I think.
Yeah, there was like a blue yellow queen in that top cut too. There's like there was a lot of weird shit in that regional. Like
it's another deck I actually really want to try too, by the way.
Oh yeah, true.
It's like, dude, it's just like, there's so much to try. It's so much open. Not to stay on this topic too long, but it's like there are so many cards that we love the idea of, but like the meta was like, if you were playing against RP Law, it was too fast for you to play some of the high end cards. And then if you're trying to play some of the mid range cards, Lucci just cleared them too easily. But like Lucy now somewhat can't clear wide boards as effective as it used to be able to. If it sticks in Isho, it sticks in Isho, but I mean, you're already losing that if it's stuck in Isho, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, Isho often just says, if you get to untap with him, you win the game. Like,
yeah.
Unless you're Black Yellow Luffy. That's, like, that might be the only exception. But, yeah, it's... Speaking of Black Yellow Luffy, though, this is actually the next topic I wanted to go into. So, Trevor, do you actually watch any of the stream for Pasadena? Or any of the top cut?
I sat there, watched Cross's match. Okay. I watched 2 seconds of the finals and said, wow, that's a Nami player. Turned off.
Okay.
No offense to that Nami player. I know he's a good player. But I was like, I'm just not watching Solitaire. I'm not watching some guy play Solitaire and the other guy look at the guy playing Solitaire and go, what the fuck do I do? Because from what I heard, that's exactly how the finals went. Not to shit on the finals, but that's how the finals felt like it looked like. From what I understand. But anyways, go ahead. What happened at Pasadena?
So this is something that got the chat pretty riled up. I think it was either the top 8 or the top 4 match was a Black Yellow Luffy mirror. And twice in that match, same guy, he activated the baby Sabo to tag out into Black Sabo from life.
Okay.
Did not put a dice on his leader as he usually was to represent power, and declared Sabo, drew 2, discarded 2. And then his opponent pointed it out, and when you try to put the dice on after, the judges agree. It's like, nope, it's too late. You did not declare the plus 2,000 power on your leader. So, for those of you who are not aware, all of the little kids from the Three Brothers decks, so like Luffy, Ace, and Sabo, are all templated the same way, where you trash them from the field to tag out into the 5-drop corresponding, and then it says you may grant 2,000 power to your leader.
Yep.
Or up to one of your leaders gets 2,000 power. I think that's the actual templating on it.
One Piece rule tags at this point.
Because for some reason they always say up to one gets 2,000 power. It's exactly like the 9-drop Whitebeard from Set 2, where you have to declare saying, a Whitebeard, target my leader for the 2,000.
Yep. Yeah.
And the chat got like really riled up because it's like, a lot of people call it Rulesharking, and that's kind of the topic at hand here of what I want to discuss is that Rulesharking? Because I can see both sides of the argument. I think the bottom line for me personally is that it's very poor templating from Bandai designing the card to say up to 1, because it's all in the same line of text. Like, it's all the same effect. If it was like 2 separate effects that the card did, I could maybe see an argument, but because it's all the same effect, it's like, yeah, of course you're gonna give your leader the plus 2,000. It's like, what? It's like, why would I not? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So my opinion on this is this: it's people have to understand the player that didn't mess up and the player that messed up. They're both playing for thousands of dollars. I'm talking real cash at the end of the day, right? Like, we can sell some of this cardboard that you get out of top 8
exactly.
for hard 4-digit plus cash. So, if to etch out the win, he has to go, no, unfortunately, you missed timing, I'm not going to hate on that guy. I'm not, because the reason we've talked about it before, because I talked about it with Mohammed as well, is like, the reason you playtest is to get the memorization down, to remember patterns, to make sure that you're doing everything consistently. Don't skip steps, because when you start doing that, like, you know what 2 babies I'm going to play, I'm just going to shit out the big bodies and put the 2 babies in trash, right? When you start skipping those steps, what ends up happening is this type of stuff. Is you go, I forgot to mention plus 2k. Is it okay now that I've resolved every other thing? Can I go ahead and just give my leader plus 2k? No. That is the reason you do those repetitions, is because if I messed up, I'm not going to fault the player for dogging me on it. Like, calling me out on it. I expect it. I would do the same. We did it all. Not that we did it consistently, but, like, if it was blatantly obvious that you just missed timing on a lot of things, I will not call on my opponent to do anything. And actually at Gen Con, my 3rd round law player that I played into, it looked like he had some nerves going on whenever he was playing the deck, and he forgot to ramp with Kid twice, and he forgot to do Gordon before using leader ability. Like, blatant blatant misplays that I've done in testing.
A blatant missequence. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not, I guess missequence is a better way to say it, not really misplay. Like, he didn't, like, misplay, missequence, whatever, but, like, I've made those mistakes in testing. I have not made, like, that's why you make them in testing, though, so you don't do that in your regionals. Anyways, I think the BY Luffy player that called him on it is okay. I agree with what he did. I feel bad for the player that missed the timing on it, and I get it. Like, you're upset you did that to yourself. But he's in top 8. He probably had a lot of nerves, is probably what I'm expecting. He might have been a new top 8 player. Like, that might have been his first time ever topping, or, like, at least topping with a top cut. Because there's a big stress level difference between topping a Swiss-only tournament and then topping and then going into a top cut tournament. Like, those are two different things, especially because I think it was top 32, right? Is that what it started on?
I think it was at least top 32, I want to say, because I'm pretty sure it was like 1,000-man regional.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, I think that play in what round this again. I didn't watch this, guys, so sorry. What round did this end up happening? And was it the top? It
was like either top 8 or top 4. It was one of the.
He was serial. Matches. He got a serial. That's what I'm. Either way, the player that messed up walked out with a serial.
Oh, sure,
right?
sure.
Okay,
yeah.
So like, the chat shouldn't be getting upset because the guy who messed up is still walking away with cash. Like, he doesn't get to play for finals, but he messed up and he was stressed through 32, 16, and then top 8. He messed up. It happens. But you also just can't blame the guy that called him on it, because that guy's also looking for the same bag that the other guy's looking for at the end of the day. I think I rambled a little too long there. But,
no, but I 100% agree. It's like, the person at fault here, we should not be blaming the other Black Yellow Luffy player that called it out and saying, hey, unfortunately you missed the timing on this.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's hard to say because obviously, like, the players are not mic'd up. We're not hearing what they're verbally saying to each other. It's just what was reported thereafter, through the judges to Eggman and Jonas, who were casting the stream. And and like I said, there were judges there, so so the judges that were at that table were also in agreement that unfortunately he missed out on the 2K power. I think the hard part of this, in my eyes at least, is what's like causing a lot of the discourse, is I guess it's like where we draw the line as far as like, should we be following like the letter of the law or the intention of like what the card's supposed to do. And this is very specific to the baby cards, and I guess you can argue the same for Whitebeard too, because he's templated the same way. This is all one effect. So like, me putting the baby Sabo in trash and then taking the black Sabo from life and putting it on my board, like, I'm performing that effect, and it's because it's all in one package. Should I not be able to just like assume that my leader should be plus 2K? It's just like, it's kind of the same with Whitebeard, right? I played this on the board. It's like, in what universe would I not want to give my leader plus 2K? It's like, you can't just, like in a lot of other scenarios, you can't. Maybe you can make the argument as like, okay, maybe there's a decision where like you don't want to do something beneficial, but because these cards are just so clear cut, it's like, this is what the card is supposed to do, and everyone, including the opponents and judges, like, everyone's smart enough to know it's like what these cards are meant to do. I think that's what got a lot of people riled up. And again, for this video, this is not like a call to action. We're not here to say, hey, you guys need to like attack these other players, or to like attack the judges, or to even attack Bandai. I just think it's a very unfortunate situation, and again, my bottom line is that this shows very poor game design as far as like these particular cards, how they were templated. Like the fact that it's even an option to give plus 2K. It's like
effect. When they announced Dadan was like one of the shittiest cards in terms of rulings that they like ever come out. Look up to 5 cards. You have to declare that you're looking at 5 cards. Come on.
Oh yeah.
When am I not looking at like? Come on, what am I not doing? I could be the jackass that goes, I'm going to declare 3 and hit. I understand that I could do that, and I technically don't bottom deck the last 2 cards that I would maybe want to draw. But like, you're not declaring 5. You're always
Yeah.
declaring 5. Like it
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some people might make the argument, it's like, oh, what if I know the rest of my deck, and it's like, I know that I only want to search through. It's like, come on, dude, it's just not based in reality. Like,
also not because it's a red deck. When are you ever making it back around on your red deck?
Exactly.
Unless you open 12 searchers, you are not making it
like
back
maybe
around.
in red green law, but it's like if you're searching that much, you probably won the game anyway, right?
Exactly. No, yeah, absolutely. Again, props to those players. They made it to top 8 in a situation where that tournament was really competitive. There was a lot of good players at that tournament, and props to them. Maybe we don't know the reason that the BY Luffy player missed the timing on it. I would assume it's jitters. A lot of it probably would be to jitters, but again, what I'm trying to reiterate here is like, run your reps, guys. Don't be afraid to practice. Not sim. I want practice cardboard. Even if it's just mirror shadow boxing yourself, just making sure that you open a hand, you play these cards, and you make sure you're doing the effects properly. That is something that you need to be doing. I played Yu-Gi-Oh for 2 months. I was doing that 2 months into my Yu-Gi-Oh stint, shadow boxing my hand to make sure I'm doing my my combos right. Yeah, goldfishing. I think is what you termed it as.
It's just the physical mechanics of how you handle cards does matter a lot, and it is a thing to practice. As silly as that sounds, but I've seen it at a lot of other card games too, where they go from the digital platform to paper. And they're just making a lot of slip-ups because it's the card's not glowing in their hand.
Yeah.
They don't have a shiny button to click on the card.
I'm only gonna shout them out here because I loved it. Me and Chris have this reputation that every time me and Chris have faced each other at a locals, it's usually at a case event or a somewhat bigger event at one of your locals, and it's always Chris cheating against me. And it's not intentional.
Cheating.
Yeah. I'm only saying it to him because I know he'll take it in jest. I'm saying this openly because I know he would. One of our first tournaments, he came back for set 3 because if everyone knows, Chris is a BP Croc lover. He hates the game though, and that's hilarious that he does content for it. But we love him about it. We love to make fun of him about it. So he came back for set 3. He tried Katakuri. And he had only been playing on Sim. So this is the first time he had ever played a Shirahoshi in person, apparently. He hard played it. He tried to play it for 3, and then he tried to draw 5.
It's like he did the exact opposite. He got the numbers swapped.
Yeah.
It costs 3, draws 5, right? No, it costs 5, draw 3.
And that's the fun stuff that happens. Or we can laugh about it at the end of the day, but you have to be understanding of that other BY Luffy player. He saw the bag. He saw that he had an opening for a win, and maybe he was going to win the game no matter what. Let's also put that out there. He may have already been he may have been able to win that game even if he didn't get the call on that, right? I don't know the board states or anything, but
I think if the guy didn't mess up, he might have. He
might have won.
Would have won. He was actually in a pretty commanding position.
Well, then that's that's on him. I don't want to dog on the guy, but it's you messed up, man. It happens.
Man, I'm so torn. I'm personally so torn on this because it's one of those things where it's and maybe this is just me being a bit too prideful.
Yeah.
But if that were me in the other guy's seat, I would just be yeah, your leader's a 9K. Clearly you activated Sabo. That's the way I see it because of the way that card is templated. It's all one effect. Now, if it's your example at the TC where the guy played, he forgets his optional Captain Kid effect for the Dawn, or if he played his Gordon and then did not do anything, did not say bottom deck Gordon, did not say -3 cost anything or -3k anything, and he just went straight away to Shambles. It's that's as if he misclicked on Sim to me. And maybe you can make an argument the assumption that okay, maybe it's not fully correct to Gordon there. You don't know. Because you have benefit of the doubt that you don't know your opponent's intent on what they're doing with that Gordon. The Sabo and Baby Luffy's, I'm it's the intention is just so painstakingly clear that if I were in that seat, would I say no, sorry, you missed the 2K? It's I don't know. I don't think I would, but I don't know because it's. I don't think I've been in that situation very many times to really say.
Not that specific one, but as your teammate, I would want you to be yo, there's like 8K at the end of this tunnel. Like, don't. Your pride at the end of the day is like, I get it. I get the whole pride thing, but it's also like, we all play this game regularly, right? Like, don't. Sorry, let me phrase this in a better way, but like, I get the whole pride thing, and that's why probably chat was upset for sure. Like not necessarily their pride or your pride. It's just like the understanding that like, okay, he used the babies. Everyone knows he's supposed to do K.
It's like what people expect to be like a sportsmanship thing. I think it's like the best way to put it.
But this is a solo sport. At the end of the day, it's like no one. When that guy goes home, no one's looking out for him. You know, he has to look out for himself. And if Cali was an expensive trip and he had to do well at this event, he's going for it, right? Like. No one knows each other's situations. His pride is that he did well. His pride is that he won that game.
Ultimately, what he did is like calling out that it's like, hey, you missed the opportunity to give your leader 2K. It is 100% within the rules, as the judges that were there at that table agreed with him.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the guy did nothing wrong. You know, he's completely within his right to do what he did. That's like the standard that we're held up to when we're in like competitive environments like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't let your opponent take it back, because at the end of the day, like, you worked your ass off to get where you're at. Don't give away like your hard work. That's kind of what you were doing. Like, you'd be doing, right? Like, you did all the work, and you've done all this work. This guy does clearly didn't do the exact same amount of work as you did, because you're declaring all your effects. Why couldn't he? You know, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, dude, you're gonna hate me for this. I actually have a funny story from Gen Con. And I don't think I told anybody this, but one of my matches, I lost to Lucci. I think I told you I lost to Lucci because he had a really beautiful clear. So I had 4 bodies on the table. I'm playing Reparable Law. He swings over one of my bodies in combat because, like, literally I raged and drew like 0 counter. I'm like, oh shit.
the law special.
He put 5K into my rested Shachi, and I'm like, oh, it just dies. I can't protect it. So I have 3 bodies.
Raging was better in hand.
So I have 3 bodies left. Yeah, maybe. So I have like 3 bodies left on the board, but he does have the 3-drop Brook on the field, and all his Dawn available still. And he has stage out also, so he goes Tempest Kick, draw, shrink one of my bodies, stage Lucci, shrink the other body so they're in Lucci range.
Yeah.
Moria revive Helmeppo to shrink the 3rd body to like a 1 cost, and then Lucci kill 2 bodies. And then he has 1 Dawn open and with the Brook ready to swing. And we already acknowledged that my body was shrunk because like we put the dice on it and everything.
Yeah.
And I think he had like a Freudian slip or something where he said pass, and I'm like, what? I was like, my rage is alive, and he's like, it's like, oh no, sorry. he went in and smelled with the Brook. I let him do it because I was just like so impressed on how beautiful the clear was. I'm like, man, he got me good. And then when he made the slip, I was like, what? Like,
damn it, Colin.
Again, I was just in shock because I was just like, whoa.
But the thing is, it was like, I'm sorry, and that clear is great. I love that clear from that guy.
It was such a beautiful. It was just a beautiful play because I was like so sure it's like he's gonna swing the Brook because obviously that's why he shrunk the card.
Do you win that game if Reiju lives? That's my question. Okay, then I hate you for that then, because it's like you did everything. You got to your position. Yeah, your deck didn't show up for the last swing that he did at 5K, and you couldn't protect a body. But you shouldn't be punished because your opponent. You should not punish yourself because your opponent punished themselves. That's some masochist shit. Like,
it was more so I just like thought I misheard him because I was just so impressed that he cleared my board.
Come on, Colin, you could have had more than just a Zoro.
It's whatever. Like, you know, it's not really like that. To me, to me personally, it's not deep, but like, you know,
what I care about
if
though.
If someone else in my shoes said no, you said pass, was like I wouldn't blame him for it either. Like,
all I care about, Colin, is that if it's a higher stake situation, I want you to make sure you're able to make that call.
Yeah,
That's what I care
again,
about.
This was like round 2.
Okay.
So I was like,
then,
whatever.
yeah.
I'm at Gen Con, whatever, you know.
Okay.
Maybe at Nationals it may be different. Like I can't speak on it until it happens, you know. So I'm begging you, everyone that plays me at Nationals, please don't mess up against me, so I don't have to go through this moral dilemma.
Look, I'm trying to top outside of Whitebeard, so I'm on my you fuck up grind. You fucked up.
So like, so like in
Go ahead.
Whitebeard format, like if someone played 9 gate and said 9 gate effects, is he an 8K or a 6K?
So actually, funny enough, that was actually a ruling that came up in like the first Peoria event. Like someone would say 9. Like I believe it was that specific wording was like someone would say 9 beard effect, and it's like, okay, how it got ruled, from what I understand. Someone who has better memory than me, because mine is really bad, let me know, but I believe the ruling was on it is if you do not specify, you do not get the plus 2k. From a judge ruling, by the way. So, and I think that came from Ben, because because Whitebeard was so prevalent at Peoria that, like, Ben had to be involved to make sure that, like, for future rulings
right,
at that
it's something that's going to come up a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe the head judge made the call on that. It's like, you have to specify. Unfortunately, and I get it, this is what I was talking about, guys, with like the sim thing. The sim makes you do that because what the sim does is when you use a baby, the sim just auto adds 2k to your leader because of how it's programmed.
Or same with 9 gate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, 9 gate you have to click your leader.
Are you sure with 9 gate? The 9. I don't know. It's been a while since I played it.
Keep talking. I want to play solo self.
You're gonna play solo against yourself.
No, you're good. I'll do it real quick while we're talking. But yeah. So, you know,
but like,
I don't know.
Were you ever in that situation?
No, I never got in that situation. Thankfully, I think every one of my players were competent enough to do it and remember. Competent's a harsh word. They remember in the moment. Now, mind you, though, when I got to play a lot of Whitebeard when events started, Whitebeard was at 1, funny enough. I don't think ever got to play Whitebeard at full power. I was always, like, at Whitebeard at 1 power for most of my events.
So it's just like so you had even less opportunities to see 9 gate in action.
Exactly. Like, it was like, if you saw it and you fucked it up, oh, dude, come on, man. It was the one turn that you're a powerful
I guess, like,
god.
where do you draw the line? Like, if they point at their leader, is he an 8K? Like, you're not required to have a dice, technically.
Yeah, if I see the motion of play Whitebeard, if I see it, if they say no verbal commands and they go Whitebeard tap their leader, like they tap their leader with their finger,
they point on their leader.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. I will take that.
Okay.
I need them to do something though, but make sure that I've seen it. Don't like assume, because like sometimes you just like when you're at a 9-round tournament and like it's a little like late in the rounds, you're kind of glazed, you're kind of dozing off a little bit sometimes, especially during Whitebeard format. Whitebeard format was like play big body pass. Like I was dozing off in a lot of those games, but yeah, like as long as I see something or hear something, I understand it. The BY Luffy player just missed timing it entirely. He went on to another effect. Because it's the same way with, like, triggers, right? Like, when a card is triggered with a Nell ability, you don't start a Nell's ability before the trigger finishes. You don't start the next...
you're technically supposed to heal first before you discard.
Exactly, right? You have not finished the Baby Luffy effect until you stated plus 2k to my leader. Unfortunately, that's the reason that they do that is because it's not the reason that they do it. I don't know the reason that they worded it the way they did, but because it's worded like that, you are in the midst of an effect. The first part of the effect is do this, which gives you the condition of you get plus 2k. Because you don't get that plus 2k unless you play a big body.
Right, but that's the thing is that he played the body, so therefore it's like we're all intelligent human beings. Like, yeah, he should get the 2k.
I don't disagree with you, but if a law player minuses 3 Dawn and they don't play a character, then they just fucking miss their timing. Like,
right, well, if they Dawn minus 3 and they don't play something and they say pass,
or they don't even say shambles something. Like they don't say anything off my board.
I guess it's just specifically to the baby. I guess it's just so specific to like
the babies,
the baby 2 drops that it's like when things are just so painstakingly obvious. I think that's where like a lot of the discourse comes in. And again, like I want to reiterate this very heavily for all of you watching: please do not go and attack anyone. Don't try to don't try to send like angry DMs or emails to Bandai or the judges. or the players, you know, that's not okay, all right? This is not a call to action on anything. I'm personally, for me, I'm just frustrated that the card is just templated the way it is. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I just wish it was mandatory to get the 2K. Like, I wish it just did not say up to. Like, then the discourse would be over. Because to me, it's like the intention is so clear because you played the 5-drop. Newgate, I can kind of see where if you play down the Newgate and you just don't say anything, it's like, yeah, I can see that as a mistrigger. And plenty of other scenarios too. But like, it's just
Newgate's
that
automatic.
specifically. It's like so. It's just so rough, you know.
Absolutely. Fun fact: Newgate is automatic on Sim. Haven't played that card in a bit.
Okay. How many times do you have to mulligan?
3 times. Okay. Just I put. Hey, look, I had to confirm because I was like, I don't think I've played Whitebeard on Sim for a minute. At least the Whitebeard card for a minute. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm okay with Rulesharking if it feels, you know, if like they blatantly missed an effect. Unfortunately, I'm okay for it. I get the whole pride thing. I get being a scumbag is a thing, but like also like pick and choose your battles, right? Like round 2 for Colin, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't know how the rest of his day could go. He could win that one and then just lose the next 3. Like it. But that person that was in top 8, understandably, he's gonna do what he needs to do to get the bag, and I can't blame him for it. I can't.
Yeah. Again, it's like I don't think anyone is at fault here except for like the words that are printed on that piece of cardboard.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that is the bottom line. And I don't know. I mean, you guys let us know your thoughts of any interesting Rulesharking stories, whether it be from One Piece or other card games that like I have quite a few from Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, but the podcast would take forever.
Yeah, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings. I don't even want to even Magic rulings. I know that like Magic has like the most amount of rules. We're tangenting here. I don't know if Colin. I think other than that, I think we're good, right? I think we've talked about everything that we've wanted to.
Yeah, that's about it. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Be nice. Or not be nice. No, but seriously, be nice. If you like this kind of content, you know, please let us know. Any questions or any sort of topics that you guys want us to discuss for any future videos, please do let us know in the comments below what you would like to see us discuss. Any sort of hot topics, whether it be about gameplay, about the metagame, or even just like what we ate for breakfast this morning. I don't know.
I mean, I'll answer that now. My breakfast was a banana, and then because I, you know, when I'm getting ready, I had a banana, and then when I got to work, I had some oatmeal. So it's good breakfast.
Well, there you go. He spoiled it. So maybe not breakfast anymore. But yeah, seriously, let us know your thoughts.
All right. Well, I'll have breakfast again, Colin. It's not like I won't have breakfast ever again.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
All right. You're right. Damn. Wait.
But yeah, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.